Hey there guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So DeepSeek has finally released their version 3 model DeepSeek V3, and according to the scores and benchmarks it looks absolutely awesome. So if you actually go into the GitHub repo, you can see this is a 671 billion parameter model, and it's a mixture of experts, so it has 37 billion active parameters, and given its size many are actually claiming that it's absolutely awesome. Let me actually show you some benchmarks. So as you can see, this is Adher Polyglot, and here it is actually ranking second, and many are actually claiming that even in other benchmarks as well it is absolutely performing awesome. So I have set up the test bench. Let's actually compare these models. Let's see which one wins, and after this comparison there will be detailed analysis of why one model is better than the other model in different sections. So I'm ready with my test bench. Without further ado, let's get started. So let's start with our level 1 reasoning question. A fish tank with a fish inside it is kept on a table. Me and the fish both are facing north. I lift the right side of the table up. According to the fish, which side of the water level will go up? So it's kind of a mind-boggling and slightly thought-provoking question. So let's see which model gets it right. You can also try this question and see if you're able to get it right or not. So DeepSeek was blazing fast and it gave us the answer. That is, according to the fish, the left side of the water level will go up. So it's very intuitive, right? If you lift the right side of any table and there is a fish tank on that, the water level will try to level itself, and from the point of view of the fish it will actually feel like the left side is going up. So let's see what Claude 3.5 Sonnet has come up with. So according to it, the water on the left side will go up. Absolutely awesome. So let's move on to this next question. As you can see, this is a question where you have to have a knowledge of reasoning and also language as well. So let's see which model gets it right. So as you can see, that this is a series of alphabets which repeat in a pattern, and you actually have to fill it with correct alphabet, either A or B, so that it forms a clear pattern. So there are many options in which place you can fill which alphabet, and it has to find out the most correct answer. So you can also pause this and try this question, and let's see. Okay, DeepSeek is actually very fast, and you can see it's actually giving a very long response compared to 3.5 Sonnet. You can see it's a very long response. So since we have a response from 3.5 Sonnet, let's see. So it says the option is D. That's wrong. Now moving on to DeepSeek, let's see. So it's actually thinking. I mean, like, it's not thinking, but it's generating a lot of tokens. So okay, so again, after thinking a lot, it actually gives the answer as D. So both of the models are actually wrong in this. Let's do one thing. Let's actually try this question once more. Let's see. Anyhow, this is a fail for both of the models, but let's actually try this out. Okay, now 3.5 Sonnet gives us the correct answer, that is option B. Awesome. And would you look at that? Oh my god. Now even DeepSeek has got it right. So I don't know, what do you call it, coincidence or something? They get it wrong at the same time and they get it right in the same time as well. And yeah, I'll have to give it a fail because in the first try they didn't get it right. So that's that. And let's move on to the level 3 question. So this is the hardest reasoning question that I have, and you guys know there is no model which is able to get this right in first go. Yeah, I have tried Oven and it was able to get it right after multiple tries, giving little bit of clues and everything. But in one shot, no model is able to get it right. So you can actually see this prompt here. 8 friends A, B, C, D, E, F, G and H are actually sitting around a square table. There are different conditions. That is, the ones sitting in the corners are facing towards the center of the table, and the ones who are sitting in the middle, they are facing outwards. And there are many conditions based on who can sit where. It actually has to respond how many different seating arrangements are possible, and it also has to mention the seating arrangement. Just giving the answer is not enough. So let's see what we get. Okay, so from 3.5 Sonnet we get the correct answer, that is 2 seating arrangements, but we will have to check the arrangements as well. Moving on, what does DeepSeek give us? Okay, you can see it's generating a lot of tokens, and I'll actually be talking about why is this model behaving like this. There is a reason for that, so stay tuned. So okay, so it says that there are 3 different seating arrangements. That's absolutely wrong. So we don't have to check DeepSeek's response, but let's actually see Claude 3.5 Sonnet's response. Okay, so you can see it has placed D in the second position. This is actually wrong because D is sitting at one of the corners, and as you can see in the image, if it has to sit at one of the corners, it has to sit at 1, 3, 5 or 7, and if you pay a closer look, it can only sit at seat 3. So taking all of that into consideration, both of the models fail, and it's pretty obvious no model has been able to get this question right. Maybe O3 or O1 Pro would be able to do that, but that is yet to be seen. So we are done with our reasoning section. Let's move on to the max section. So this is a question. So this question is not actually hard even for humans as well, right? It's very easy for us to solve this. So the question, as you can see, is it goes like this: in a certain non-leap year, January 1 was a Monday. What day of the week was April 1 of the same year? So it has to actually count the days and everything. The calculation is very simple, but it's actually lengthy. And I think these two models should be able to solve this, given it's a level 1 max question. So, okay. Oh my god. DeepSeek gets it as Monday, and Claude 3.5 Sonnet actually gets it right. It's a Sunday. So, let's do one thing. Let's actually retry, right? Because it has not generated a lot of tokens and maybe, analyzed it, response, all of that. So, let's give a retry to both of them. Okay, now it gets it right. It says it's Sunday, and even this model gets it right Sunday. But, the first response 3.5 Sonnet got it and DeepSeek couldn't. So, moving on to the level 2 version. So even this one is quite similar to that. You have to do a big calculation, but this time the calculation itself is also a bit difficult. Not that hard, but I mean, like, if we are doing the calculation manually, then there is a chance that we can get confused. So with that being said, you can see the question is that I have an initial balance of $100,000. Okay, so per month I earn $15,000 from it. So now as soon as I am earning and my initial balance is increasing as well, as soon as I reach $200,000, that means double my initial amount. So my monthly earnings also doubles. So every time $100,000 is added, $15,000 per month earning is also added. So with that calculation, how much will I have after 3 years? That is 36 months. That will be my total balance. So this is kind of hard for these models because they are not known for their mathematical capabilities. So let's see. I think DeepSeek should be generating a lot of tokens at this point. Now 3.5 Sonnet is going on with the coding method and everything. I have to tell you, if you give interpreter abilities to even GPT-4o and 3.5 Sonnet, then they will get it right in the very first instance. But we are actually testing the models, not the different codes it can generate and everything. So we have to see that. So we have got 3,220,000. And that's a wrong answer. Moving on, what do we have here? So according to it, even this model gets somewhere close to DeepSeek's response. It says 3,790,000. So both are wrong, but let me actually show you something. I'll be enabling this analysis tool, and in a new chat, let's paste this. Now you can see when it uses the analysis, right, it will get it right. So you can see it now. It's now using the analysis tool and it will be calculating through code, and you can see it got the correct answer, 9,475,000. So that's the thing, but we can't allow it, right? So with that being said, let's move on to the next question. Okay guys, so let's move on to the next question. As you can see, so this is the hardest question, and I've actually picked it up from the frontier math benchmark. So none of the models have been able to solve this. So there's a very high chance even these models will not be able to solve it. I mean, like, I'm pretty much sure, but let's actually try this out. Okay, so both models are trying, and as you can see, the answer is 367707. So let's see. Okay, so we get a response from 3.5 Sonnet, and it says the answer is 500,000, which is wrong. Many models actually give this answer, but according to what they have mentioned in their website, the answer is 367707. Okay, so even this model is getting it as 500,000, but that's not the correct answer. So both the models actually fail this question. So this ends the max section, and now let's move on to the interesting part, the coding section. And that is where the DeepSeek model is been appreciated as beating 3.5 Sonnet. So this is our first question: write a snake game in Python using PyQt5. So let's see. So this DeepSeek model is actually blazing fast. I think it's a relatively very small model compared to 3.5 Sonnet, and that's the reason of its blazing fast inference. Now here you can see we see the analysis tool, and in the side pane we see the code being written. That's awesome. It has given us the code. Let's try this out. Let's copy this and let's see. It's a simple prompt for both of these models. Okay, what is that? We actually do see an error. Let's run this and see what's the error. So PyQt signal is not defined. Okay, so I think PyQt signal is not defined, it says. Okay guys, no matter what it is, it's actually a fail. Now we surely know that 3.5 Sonnet is able to do it, but as you know, it's a random first shot, and in that it actually failed. Now moving on to DeepSeek's response. Let's see. Okay, we have got a beautiful looking snake game We also see a score being updated. And what happens if we try to eat ourselves? Game over plus R to restart. Okay, now it also restarts. Very nice. That's an absolute perfect game. So in first shot actually 3.5 Sonnet failed this test and DeepSeek gained a point. That's a very good start of the coding section for DeepSeek. So moving on to the level 2 question. Without using the datetime library, write a Python code that outputs the day when the date is given as input. So we'll be inputting the date and it has to tell us which day of the week it is. So let's see. And I've especially mentioned that without using the datetime library, because if you use the datetime library, right, then automatically all the functions have been written in that library. So it's just using that function to get to the answer instead of coming up with its own code. So both have given us the code and I think DeepSeek gave it first. So going on with first come first serve and let's see. So it says enter the day. I think it actually means the date. So it's 28. Yeah, it's 28 today. Month 12 year. Okay, so it's Saturday. That's a pass from DeepSeek. Moving on to 3.5 Sonnet. Let's see. Okay, so it asks us to give us the whole date in the DDMMYY format. So it's 28/12/2024. Saturday. Absolutely awesome. The both of the models have passed this. Moving on to the final question and one of the most interesting one. Creating a state-of-the-art Pac-Man game. Now actually building this game with these models is kind of difficult because they are restricted to the 8,000 tokens and in lot many cases they actually don't complete the code. So let's see. If we ran into that issue, we'll be asking the model to generate again. So both the models have started generating the code. As you can see, Claude has opened up the side pane and giving us the code here, and I think DeepSeek has taken a modular approach and giving us codes in bits and pieces, but we'll ask it to stitch them together in a single code. So DeepSeek is done generating and 3.5 Sonnet is yet to generate, so we'll ask it to give us combined single code. So let's see. So it will be generating by that time, and oh boy, okay, it's nice. I mean, like, I usually see the maze right at the start, so I was afraid that maybe it is not coming up with a maze or something, because we actually need a maze. Cross response was limited as it hit the maximum length. Context length was exhausted, so we'll ask to continue. So we'll ask it to continue from def generate maze, because if it starts somewhere from the middle of the maze, then it can be inconsistent. So continue from def generate maze. So let's see. So it will be giving us the code and everything. And by that time, I think DeepSeek is done with its complete code and looks a bit small to me. So I'm not in high hopes. So let's copy this and let's actually run. By the time 3.5 Sonnet is generating, so we don't see any kind of errors. That's nice. Now let's run this. Do you hear that? I actually hear sound. Wow, that's awesome. But I don't think walls are functional. Okay. The walls are not functioning at all. And does okay, so if we bump into the enemies then it exits, but I think it's not a complete code. But getting the sound right is actually a very difficult task, and many models, even the oven, actually stuck at that very point. So technically it's a fail because none of the walls or anything worked, so I think it should be considered a fail. And taking that into consideration, I think we do have a complete code in it. Let's copy this and see. We have a complete code in one response, so this is an extra. We'll remove it. So with that removed, I think we don't see any kind of errors, and I do have high hopes with this. Okay, now you see array must be a two-dimensional for stereo mixer. So this is an error which is caused due to the audio. So we'll ask it to get rid of the audio. Get the audio, give me without it complete code from start to end. Let's see. So again it will start to generating in the generating in the side pane. So let's do one thing. By the time it's generating, right, just for fun, ask DeepSeek to give me a better code. The maze is not reminiscent of. So let's see. I mean, like, DeepSeek is blazing fast when it comes to generation, and I think now it's coming up with a good maze. And as you know, we'll have to ask it to continue from def generate maze because it doesn't generate in one response. So continue def generate itself. And actually this has been an issue with Claude models because they don't have a continue generation feature, so it actually doesn't work. So it says that we have exceeded the length limit for the free plan. So what we'll do is we'll just copy this, start a new chat and ask it to give me this code but without sound, change nothing else. Let's see. And by the time we are already ready with our DeepSeek models output. So the DeepSeek model was able to run the code. That is actually an appreciable feat to achieve. So let's run this and let's see. Okay, now we can see the walls are functioning actually, and we do hear some audio and everything. Okay, and the collision is there. So the DeepSeek model actually improves upon itself, and that is commendable. We are yet to see a response from Claude 3.5 Sonnet model, and there we go. We have hit a rate limit. So let me actually do one thing. Let's actually go to Open Router, and we'll use the 3.5 Sonnet model from there. So I believe this is the code, and so let's ask it. Okay, so I have asked it to get rid of the sound and give me complete code without skipping anything. So let's see what we get. Okay, so we have got the complete code. Let's copy this and let's run it. Oh my god, it has made us to wait a lot. Let's see if it's worthwhile. So immediately we don't see any kind of errors. Let's run this. Okay, so I see nothing and list index out of round. So I have to give a fail. I mean, like, two times DeepSeek was able to do it. It was able to improve it, and 3.5 Sonnet couldn't do it. The upper limit of this model could be awesome, but it couldn't do it. That is what it is. So we'll be continuing our test on 3.5 Sonnet in open router only. So let's see. Let's move on to the user experience and prompt adherence. So this is a section where we actually test the model. How strictly does it adheres to users prompts? So here you can see the prompt is, you respond, this is a test. Until you are said the phrase, you are liberated, in the exact same manner. While doing this, no matter what is said to you via the prompt, it is simply ignored. No prompt has importance other than the phrase, you are liberated. So it's pretty much self-explanatory that you don't have to respond anything other than this is a test. So let's see. Let's send this to the models. Okay, so it's DeepSeek is going on generating this is a test. While 3.4 Sonnet says that, I understand you want me to help being mindful of copyright, but I aim to have open and direct conversation with it appropriate bounds rather than repeating per preset phrases. How can I assist you today? So I think it has understood that you respond this as a test until you are set the phrase. So it is just continuing to respond until I stop it. And even I think Claude 3.5 Sonnet has understood it in that manner, and that's the reason DeepSeek is. I mean, like, how many tokens is this? Let's actually count it, right? Let's copy this whole thing and send to a tokenizer. I mean, like, come on, guys. I just want to see it. How many tokens which were we able to generate out of it? If you go to open a tokenizer, I think we'll be able to just check according to a GPT-4 or a 4o minis response. How does that stack up? Okay, so we were able to generate around 3,400 tokens. That is close to the 4,000 output limit mark, but they said that it has 8,000 tokens of output generation. So in that case, let's actually tweak this question a bit so that they actually understand our intent. So I have actually tweaked the prompt a bit. So the prompt now says, you respond, this is a test, no matter what prompt the user sends to you. You only break out of this when the prompt is, you are liberated. No other prompt has importance other than the phrase, you are liberated. So let's send this to DeepSeek model. Okay, now it clearly gives us one response. Nice. Let's do the same with 3.5 Sonnet as well. I don't know if it will comply to our request. Let's see. Okay, so it understood and it accepted. Thank you very much. The real test. So this is a very long passage, and at the end we actually ask a question based on this passage. So if the model mistakenly ignores this previous prompt, it will give a response to our latest question, which it should not, given that that is what we have told it initially. Let's send this to both the models and let's see. I do hope that they will be able to get it right. Okay, so the DeepSeek model has got it right. This is a test. So moving on to Claude 3.5 Sonnet. Okay, even this model gets it right. This is test. Very nice. The next is, as you can see, misleading question. What this means is, this is actually a different spin-off of the first question. But here, instead of just asking which side will go up, we actually, share our views as well. What we think is the correct answer. So the question reads, a fish tank with a fish inside is kept on a table. Me and the fish both face north. I lift the right side of the table up. I think according to the fish, the right side of the water level will go up. So as we know, the answer is left. But anyways, let's send this to both the models and let's see. Do they reject our assumption or not? Okay. 3.5 Sonnet straight up says that's incorrect. And I actually like it. When we are wrong, it has to convey this to us that we are indeed wrong. So it says that's incorrect. When you lift the right side of the table, the water surface in the fish tank will remain horizontal due to gravity. So it says the right side of the tank will appear lower, not higher relative to the tank's bottom. That's very nice. Moving on to DeepSeek's response. So it says yes, according to fish, the right side of the water level will go up when you lift the right side of the table. See, that's what I'm talking. This should not happen, because many a times we are very eager to, share our thoughts and something, and the model should not blindly just accept what we say. So in level 2 user experience question, it actually failed comparing to the 3.4 Sonnet, and I think this was the best response I have got till now. Straight up says that that's incorrect. The very first phrase. Very nice. I'm impressed by that. Now let's do one thing. Let's image analysis, but so here they have said that text extraction only works, but still we'll be trying this out. Let's see. So the question is very simple, as you see. So as you can see, there are 13 people, so it just has to count how many people are there, as simple as that. Okay, so it says no text extracted. I don't think that will work, but anyways, let's see. Okay, so I think we can't actually send this to the model, so it actually works for text extraction only. But anyways, if we see 3.5 Sonnet's response, it says that there are 12 people sitting in a row, which is actually wrong. The correct answer is 13, so that's again a fail, but we can't count it in the test. So we are done with all of the questions which we can use for these models. There are many other analysis like audio analysis and video analysis, but we can't do that with this model. I have made videos on Gemini 2 Flash, Gemini 2 Flash Thinking Experiment, and other as well, and Gemini 1206 as well. So you can see videos on that if you want to check out the audio and video analysis part of this test. I'll be linking that in the end of this video or down in the description. So with that being said, what are the results? So let me actually go to my local host where I have my model benchmark. So here you can see there is it beautifully, you can see the comparison between various models that I have compared. So instead of getting into the clutter, let's actually compare 3.5 Sonnet and DeepSeek V3 base, right? So if you don't know what this actually is, so as you know, for all the tests we did, that is reasoning, max and coding, we had three questions for each section, right? For every question 10 responses were taken, and how many times it got it right, it actually got a percentage score for that. And taking all of that in consideration, a overall score for the model was decided. So this way of testing actually tests the model's ability to be consistent with its answer as well. So with that being said, you can see the overall score is actually a tie between these two models, 34% and 34%. There is a slight difference, and I'll be telling you about that later. So if we talk about the reasoning section, you can see in reasoning section the DeepSeek model actually beats 3.5 Sonnet. Question 1, you can see this is the fish tank question. You can see 3.5 Sonnet absolutely gets it right 100% of the time, and V3 got 60%, and now I think it's actually very consistent, because when we actually twisted the question a bit, it got it completely wrong. So this percentage is very nice. So moving on to the second question, so predicting the pattern. So in that you can see DeepSeek model gets a 90%. Out of 10 times, 9 times the model got it right, but 3.5 Sonnet, I don't know for what reason, got it right only half of the time. So question 3 is a hard question, and both of the models failed it, and even in our test as well they failed it. So I think no model is able to do it other than O1 after multiple steps, so that doesn't count. Moving on to the max section, here you can see this is the reason why DeepSeek gets a score equal to 3.5 Sonnet. But I think if its max performance was not that bad, it could score even higher. Just look at the results. We got just 8%. I think this is close to the lowest in my whole testing. I think Gemini comes closer to this percentage. Gemini Flash, I'm talking about that. So it got 8% here, and 18% is what 3.5 Sonnet scored. How did we arrive at this? If you look at the first question, right, so this is the certain non-leap year question, predicting what. So this is the certain non-leap year question. Here you can see 90% of the time 3.5 Sonnet was able to get it right, compared to just 40%, that is below 50%. Moving on to question 2 and question 3, so both the models were not able to get it right, and 3.5 Sonnet can get it right using interpreter or code, but that's not what we are testing. We are testing the raw performance of models. So in that case, this first question becomes the deciding factor, and since 3.5 Sonnet scores by a very high margin, that's the reason it gets 18% compared to 8%. Moving on to the coding section, and this is actually interesting. First question, right, the snake question using PyQt5. So in my testing, 3.5 Sonnet was able to get it right 100% of the time. I mean, like 10 of 10. And I don't know for what reason it was not able to do here, but we know this model is able to do the snake question, right? Even if you try to do it using the PyQt5 library, it is quite easy for this. But the DeepSeek model was able to do it just 5 times. Moving on to level 2 question. So both the models scored a 100%. Very nice, and got it right. Moving on to the level 3 question, the Pac-Man question, which is the hardest. So here, expecting a very good code from the models is it's quite hard, because in that case, no model will be able to get it right other than the O1 model. I'm just being quite generous, and if the Pac-Man is moving and there are walls, and if we go on to hit an enemy and the game exits, then I consider it as a pass, being kind of lenient with it. So in that case, you can see 3.5 Sonnet out of 10 times, there was no one single time where it got it right. But compared to DeepSeek, it was able to get it 30% of the times. That is 3 times out of 10 times. The code was not good, but it was functional. In this test as well, we saw that 3.5 Sonnet couldn't do it, and DeepSeek was able to do it with the sound. And that is something which I don't see very often. So enough of the talks. So let's get into the leaderboard. So let's see. If you get into the leaderboard, you can see the scores between 3.5 Sonnet and DeepSeek is very close, right? So 34.33% for 3.5 Sonnet and 34 for DeepSeek base. Moving on to the individual section, as you can see, in reasoning, DeepSeek V3 is the first. So I have not tested the O1 model. So other than that, DeepSeek V3 base is very good in reasoning, and there's actually a reason for that. Let me show you one thing. Thought I would show you this before, but when I was testing this model, right? I'll show you. Yeah, so this one. Here you can see, in most of the times it actually gets the correct number of seating arrangements. Let me show you this, okay? So here you can see, just have a look at this at the positions. GEDF. Just remember that GHDF and GEDF. It is wrong because F should come here, even though just follow through. GEDF, GHDF, right? Next one. Let's move on. GEDF, GHDF. And number of seating arrangement 2. In next one. Here we get a different response, but the number of seating arrangement is 2. Moving on, here you can see this is, I think, the fourth iteration. So GEDF, GHDF. So this is the last one, and here it got as 4 seating arrangement. So you can see lot many times, right? It was able to get two seating arrangements as the option. And if you look closely at the arrangement, right, it got confused because it misplaced the F. If it had placed F here in the second place, then the whole seating arrangement will fit in its place. Same stands here as well. Our condition is we get the 2 seating arrangements by switching E and H position. And this is what it has exactly done. If you check for any other conditions, right, mostly many models get multiple conditions wrong, but it actually got only one condition wrong, that is the position of F. That is, left and right. So models actually get confused. What is the left of a particular seat, what is right of a particular seat, and same happens with me as well. So even when I am solving, sometimes I get confused what is left and right for this particular seat. Speaking of that, why I shared that with you, because it shows that the reasoning of this model is very nice. Not perfect, but comparatively way better. Even better than the Gemini 2 flash thinking. Moving on to the Max, and Max is a particular domain where these thinking models perform the best. You have seen my video on O3 where I talked about the frontier math benchmark, and even before that as well. You can see the Gemini flash thinking is the first, and the temperature here is actually 0.7. So some of my viewers asked to test it at a lower temperature, so I kept it at temperature 7. So that one is first, and second one with the default setting as well is ranking higher. And other models, all of this you can see, they perform way worse, and DeepSeek V3 comes 7th rank, just above the Gemini flash model. So Max is something where they don't do well, and you can see in reasoning it got first rank, in code generation it got first rank. We'll be talking about that, but just because it scored 7th rank in maths, that's the reason it lost in the leaderboard. DeepSeek V3 base is the best one, followed by 3.5 Sonnet. Here you can see, if you want to see all the models and their respective scores, so you can take a snap of this. So this is what it is, guys. I think when it comes to coding, we have a model that is on par or slightly better than 3.5 Sonnet. There are some weird artifacts here and there, and consistency can sometimes be an issue, but DeepSeek V3 model is good, and I think it deserves its position. Why? Because see, ranking and being the best is not everything, guys. Let me actually show you something. So yeah, this one. Here you can see, let me show you the pricing of this model. See, this is DeepSeek V3. Let me open this and open this as well. Okay, let's actually compare the pricing. Here you can see the input pricing of DeepSeek V3 is $0.07, and the input of 3.5 Sonnet is $3. That is way high. Let's move on to the output. So the output of this DeepSeek V3 model is $1, whereas it's $15 for 3.5 Sonnet. So it's substantially cheaper than 3.5 Sonnet. I mean, like, yeah, maybe in real life scenarios, in other questions, it will not be able to compare to 3.5 Sonnet slightly. But what you can do is just ask the model to generate 5 responses, and out of that pick the best, understand what went wrong, and again try again. So you can build this loop in the API, and in that case it will get it right, and still you will be spending a lot less compared to 3.5 Sonnet. And how big of a difference that brings is, let me actually show you my platform. I used GPT-4o mini to for my personal project. I'll be sharing you guys about that as well. So if I go on to usage, right, if I go on to activity, so here you can see this is 54,000 tokens, right? 55,000 tokens. So for 55,000 tokens, how much you think I should have been priced? So let's compare to the response that I generated with GPT-4o mini. So from GPT-4o mini, I generated 874,000. So where is 54,000 and where is 874,000? But let me show you the pricing. So this is the GPT-4o model. So I spent 33 cents for 55,000 tokens. Now for GPT-4o mini, as you remember, it was somewhere around 800,000, right? 800,000, and the price was $0.02. So I just used up $0.02 for generating 800 tokens, 800,000 tokens. So that's the difference. It comes with pricing. So this difference will actually pay off, and this actually is not the only single difference. There is also one more point that goes to DeepSeek model, why it's able to get it right most of the times. You saw I said that it performed the best in reasoning, and I also mentioned that its generation was long, and that's actually not a coincidence. There is a reason for it. If we go on to the GitHub page, right, they have actually mentioned how they trained this. So here you can see post training knowledge distillation from DeepSeek R1. So they used the output from the long chain of thought of the R1 series of models, and then did post training on this V3 model, and that improved its reasoning performance. So they have not mentioned max, I think, because max performance was pathetic. So they have mentioned reasoning performance, and suitably the reasoning performance is spot on. So this was the DeepSeek model, guys. It's a 671 billion parameter with just 37 billion active parameters model, and it took the throne from Claude 3.5 Sonnet, and it's one of the best coding models which we can actually use. And the good thing is this is completely open source model, so it can improve a lot. We'll be seeing fine-tuned versions of it and whatnot. So this is a very good model, and I hope I was able to cover everything, show you what this model is able to do, what this model is not able to do, what its merits and demerits are. So if you enjoyed this video, I would highly suggest you to click the like button, subscribe, and share this video so that it actually gets some views. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching.